My name's Simon Darlow. I'm a songwriter and composer, and I'm also the Deputy Chairman of PRS for Music, which is a great honour for me and a slightly surprising position to be in. And we're here today to try and show you that actually the directors are working musicians like a lot of you people watching today. I have some stuff on air at the moment which is on the BBC News channel all over the world. I have a new album out with Toyah Willcox called In the Court of the Crimson Queen, which I hope you can see in the background now because we're using every opportunity we can to sell it, which is doing quite well, I'm glad to say. And I'm writing some music for the new Chris Tarrant Channel 5 show Extreme Trains with my dear colleague David Lowe. In 1980, I met a gentleman called Trevor Horn, a wonderful record producer, in a keyboard store called Rod Argent's where I was working, and he came in looking to buy some keyboards, and he asked me what I used, so I told him, and he said, well, why don't you come and do a session for me, which I did. And then a few weeks later he came back in and he said, do you write songs? I said, well, I do a bit. And I gave him my Porty Studio demo, and his partner and wife, Jill Sinclair, rang me up the following day and said, you better come and see us because we think you have something to say. So consequently, I went over and I joined Trevor briefly in the Buggles to finish off the second Buggles album. He signed me to Perfect Songs as his first signing, and because Trevor was becoming the hot guy at the time, I went in the studio and did most of the keyboards for Mirror Mirror by Dollar, which he was producing. I wrote Give Me Back My Heart and co-wrote Videotech with Trevor, which kind of opened the doors somewhat overnight. Well, because I was playing keyboards on these things with Trevor, and Trevor was well known for the brilliant keyboards, which were Jeff Downes, ironically, on Video Killed the Radio Star, everybody started using me the whole time. I did Pass the Duchy, I did Alvin Stardust, worked with Don Henley, Jodie Watley, I can't remember them all, there were so many, it was great fun. And during that time I also kind of re-met Toyah, who I hadn't seen. We first wrote together when I was 17, which is actually 42 odd years ago, I think it is. And then we lost touch for a bit, and then Steve Lillywhite, who was producing the Toyah album, got in touch with me and said, would you come and do some keyboards? And I went and did some keyboards on the Changeling album for her, and thus became a writing partnership which has lasted to this day. Another act I got to work with, which was a huge privilege, was Grace Jones, which was another Trevor Horn production. The song Slave to the Rhythm, which I wrote with Bruce Woolley initially, and then Steve Lipson and Trevor contributed to it too. And it became this huge eight versions of one song, essentially. It was an epic journey and one of Trevor's master productions. But when we were starting out, I remember singing with Grace, doing some backing vocals, and she was a lot of fun. I approach writing in many different ways. It can be one of many things that can set me off, if you like. Well, for example, David Lowe and I work together a lot, and on this current series, we come in this room and sit down and just make a noise. We just jam, basically. We get a little rhythm together, and I'll play some guitars, and we just come up with this bag of raw material and then reassemble it afterwards. I first joined PRS in 1981 when my first releases were coming out on the Buggles album. Trevor and Jill said, you need to join PRS, and I'd never heard of it actually then. And it was much more stringent. It was harder to join than it is now. I'm thankful it's much easier to join PRS now. So yeah, 1981, and it was a bit of a revelation to me. It was because I was fortunate to have a few hits at that time with Trevor. I started getting all this income from places all over the world, some of which I'd never heard of, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is like some kind of magic, and then which made me very curious about the whole thing and how does this work, what's in it. But it was certainly it's been the central part of my earnings for the last 38 years or something. I became a board director because I was talking to a couple of people, one of them who was the previous chairman of PRS, and he said, oh, it'd be great to have you on the board. And I thought, well, I'd never really thought about this. And I thought, well, why would I be on a board of anything, And then it was pointed out to me that I actually had 30 odd years at the time, 35 years, whatever it was, of experience which was a tranche of information that was suddenly useful to people, and that's just because I'd been around for so long doing music. And then I realised that you could contribute, and that PRS needs the voice of the writer. It's so important, so they can understand what it is you need, how you feel about things, they can advocate for you, but without the input of the musicians themselves, the writers, the creators, it becomes very dry and meaningless. So it's been utterly fantastic for me. In fact, actually, it's been a complete education. When I first got into on the board, I was gobsmacked by the whole thing. There were audit committees, distribution committees. Like I thought, I don't know what all this is. But eventually, I got it. It takes a bit of time. It's quite complex, but it's been a real education to me. I've met lots of fantastic people, really bright individuals from different walks of life doing different things, lawyers, economists. You know, I've been to Parliament all over the place and spoken on behalf of creators, and these are things I never thought I would do, and it's been certainly one of the best things I've ever done. I've enjoyed it immensely ever since I did it.